Now, welcome back. Eskom is officially without a CEO. A special board meeting agreed there was no need for Andre Ruyter to serve his notice period. It comes after an explosive interview with Annika Larsen on My Guest Tonight. But meanwhile, government is forking out over 250 billion rand to pay Eskom's crippling debts. So for more reaction to this, we're joined by Ruyter CEO Wayne Duvenage this morning. And Wayne, thank you so much for your time. Let's talk about this. Unpacking Andre Ruyter's, leaving of Eskom with immediate effect. Obviously, that means that his notice period that was meant to last until the 30th of March now has lapsed. Surprised by this particular development, that he's reached this agreement with the board?
Look, I'm not surprised at all that they've asked him to leave, and it's sad that this is the case. Andre Ruyter was a thorn in the side to many people who are implicit, I think, in the demise of Eskom, and that goes to the root of the ruling party, quite frankly, as is witnessed in that interview with Annika Larsen. So firstly, well done to her and the NCA and to Andre Ruyter for expressing and exercising moral courage and speaking up. It is very damning to the ruling party, and I can imagine it's very uncomfortable for them, and so they had no option but to hasten his departure. But the sad thing is that South Africa is now suffering as a result of where we sit today with the load shedding, with the damage and the energy crisis, as a result of Hitachi, as a result of the investments by the Chancellor House, all the stuff that is there. And I think the message here, Tamila, is for the president to actually meet with Andre Ruyter and show he's got an opportunity now to really get to the bottom of this, get all the information, and then go after the people implicated. And if he doesn't, then I think he's implicit, and he's part of the problem now.
Yeah, it seems that most people, Wayne, would not necessarily, from just my assessment on reaction to Annika and Andre's interview on social media, most South Africans are not surprised by the allegations that Andre made against some senior politicians whom, after Annika last saying if they're benefiting, as far as the ANC is concerned, from Eskom financially, it seems a lot of people are not necessarily, surprised. What was surprising for me is that even senior politicians, senior members of cabinet, it seemed from, that conversation, to know what's happening. And there was a point whereby Andre said, one particular senior minister said, after he explained what was happening at Eskom, saying it was only inevitable, it was a matter of time before this came out. So this says to me that it is a well-known fact within the trenches of the ANC and government that there's a lot of corruption that leads to some of these senior politicians.
Absolutely, and they know about it, and they have a duty to this country, a fiduciary duty to the Eskom itself, and Andre Ruyter himself has, and that's why it's important that he gets this message out in the way and the manner that he has. And there's no hiding from the truth. And it really, as you were saying, doesn't surprise us, but it is extremely damning, and it's shocking to listen to that interview. And I urge every South African to take 54 minutes of their time, and the president, and watch that video. But again, as I say, it's so important that there's an opportunity here for the president to do something. And if he doesn't get the crackers team of investigators together, if he doesn't get the information from Andre, then I'm really afraid that he has the problem is the blame of this situation lies at the door of the ruling party, at the president. He's got to fix this, and he cannot ignore the evidence that has come out of this interview with Annika.
Why do you think then Minister Pravin Gordhan would say, and I quote, that Andre Ruyter needs to keep his political views private? I mean, after such damning allegations, one would think that, a minister would say, okay, we need to get, as you mentioned, Wayne, a team of investigators, perhaps look for, all the facts, present them to the president, get to the bottom of the corruption that the CEO, the outgoing CEO, has witnessed or has gathered himself as well, and assist in getting Eskom to back where it was. Why would he, do you think, say, there was more of an unfortunate utterance from Andre Ruyter, and perhaps those political views need to be kept private?
Well, I disagree with Pravin Gordhan there. Andre Ruyter has every right to say what he did. It's important that he gets those messages out there. This is not expressing political views, and maybe it hurts a little bit where there are some clashes or differences in ideology that Andre de Ruyter was reflecting on. But that's beside the point. The real issue here is that there was investment by ANC's Chancellor House into Hitachi, who's the wrong company to build those boilers that have brought Maduka and Kusile to its knees. There was political meddling. There's been political interference at Eskom for far too long now. We're in stage 6 load shedding, and this country's economy is on its knees as a result of the ruling party. Nobody else can be blamed now anymore, and that's the evidence that has come out. And this is damning, and if there's an election tomorrow, I think we know what the result would be, but the ANC is in big trouble, and the president and Pravin Gordhan are ministers in the cabinet that are running this country. They cannot ignore the evidence and the information that Andre de Ruyter has put forward. And if they do, they are implicit now. They are to blame. They are the problem. And they need to fix it, and they've got an opportunity. And if they do not do so, then I'm afraid, the president is found wanting here. He is lacking in leadership, and it is a very, very sad situation. It's very uncomfortable for the ANC. They all need to watch that. Parliament needs to watch it. Take 54 minutes of their time in Parliament, watch that video, and then look at yourselves in the mirror and ask yourselves, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah, and just also before I let you go, Wayne, obviously yesterday was the budget speech by Enoch Onongwana, definitely speaking and referring to Eskom there, that over 250 billion rand allocation to bail out, to partly deal with the debt at Eskom. And I suppose now, post Andre's conversation with Annika Larsen, all eyes are set on that budget to see exactly where the funding will go, how it will be utilized, and whether or not there will be transparency and accountability with resolving Eskom's issues here financially.
Yeah, absolutely. And sadly, this is the budget that is clearly highlights what we are trying to do now, what the Minister of Finance is trying to do now to balance the books as a result of the corruption and the systemic corruption that permeates not only the Eskom, but most SOEs. So sadly, I mean, can you imagine what we could do with that money? This country has got immense prosperity. We've got enough money to lift the lives of people that are slipping into poverty every day, to get the jobs back, to get the investment into this country. But we'll never get there unless we deal with the systemic corruption. And that budget is a clear example and a clear message of what we're having to pay for now, for the sins of past leadership that have got this country into the state it's in.
Wayne, thank you so much for this conversation this morning. Archer's Wayne Duvernay joining us this morning right here on the South African Morning.